I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of December 28th, 2016, the last week for new comics, and a sad week for pop culture fans everywhere with the death of Carrie Fisher yesterday, which for us was December 27th, whenever you're watching this. And man, that took the wind out of everybody's sails after that tweet from her mother, Debbie Reynolds, saying that she was in stable condition and everything was looking good. And then out of the blue, we lost a pop culture icon yesterday. And everyone is aware of it, because it is everywhere. I read USA Today this morning, and their entire lifestyle section, at least on the website, is filled with information about Carrie Fisher.
So it was somebody's job after she had the heart attack to prep all of that under the assumption that she might die.
Probably.
Or with anybody that old who's that famous, they probably already have a lot of that on file, just because they know it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah. I mean, her story is really unique, and I haven't read The Princess Diarist, but now I really want to. I mean, I wanted to before. I just was going to find time for it somewhere down the road, but it's going to be a priority for me at this point.
There's time now.
Yes, but a Hollywood royalty, son of Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, daughter of Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, and man, just like a punch to the gut. Everyone has said it, but 2016, you can't be over soon enough, and hopefully 2017 isn't worse. And I think that really the odds are that it could be, because a lot of our heroes, at least our pop culture heroes, are getting up there in age. So I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, folks.
It's never going to get better.
It's never going to get better.
It's a function of longevity in an interconnected world. I mean, the 70s and 80s were the first time when movies could be watched on your house on a DVD, on a VHS player. It was the first time syndication was the norm rather than the exception. Kids today can watch shows that were on the 60s and 70s. They can listen to pop music from the 50s. You know, more people care about individuals because their reach is broader for the media. So, yeah. Every death is a tragedy.
Batten down the hatches, folks. It's going to get worse. But at least here in the shop today, we're going to be playing Star Wars music all day, and hopefully not have too much open weeping on the sales floor. But Princess Leia lives on in comics, and we'll hit one of those today, and maybe if we have time, we'll talk about a couple other places where you can find some cool Princess Leia comics. But lots of stuff this week. This is kind of a huge week, last week of the year. The publishers are trying to push a bunch of product out. And we've got a couple new number ones from Marvel. The first one is my pick of the week. It is Hulk, number 1 by Mariko Tamaki, with artwork by Nico Leone. And this is Jennifer Walters post-Civil War II. So we saw at the very beginning of Civil War II, she is kind of mortally wounded by Thanos and goes into a coma. And while she's in a coma, of course, Hawkeye kills Bruce Banner. She knows all of this now, and her psyche is in a very delicate state when the series starts. And she is in her human form as Jennifer Walters, taking a new job with some old familiar faces and some new faces as an attorney. Apparently, she's attorney to the weird, because everyone waiting for her appears to be an inhuman, a mutant, a super person of some kind. But this had just the right amount of humor, of realism. I think it's a coincidence that we get kind of a damaged Jennifer Walters on the day that Carrie Fisher passes away, because Carrie Fisher was a big advocate for mental health. She dealt with bipolar disorder herself, and we're reading a book about a woman who can transform into a Hulk, and she really doesn't want to, because she's no longer She-Hulk, she is just the Hulk.
There's only Hulk left.
Yes, but this was very enjoyable. Artwork was great. Story was really solid, and you really felt for the character. I mean, she's kind of grasping at sanity at this point because of everything that's gone down recently in the Marvel EU. So, if you've been following the events of Civil War II, and She-Hulk for me is one of those characters that I've always liked. You know, when I was growing up, she was a member of the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. Then she was an Avenger. And she just in John Byrne's She-Hulk series came out when I was in high school. Just really good stuff. She-Hulk's a great character, and Jen Walters is a great character as well. So Hulk, number 1, my pick of the week. And Rocket Raccoon came out. Sorry, I mentioned 2. Written by Matthew Rosenberg, artwork by Jorge Coelho. The Guardians are stranded on Earth after their ship was destroyed during Civil War II. Rocket is hanging around Earth and basically poking fun at everything that most of us poke fun at, about how stupid humans are, and he's bringing his interstellar comedy and what's the word I'm looking for?
Disdain? I don't know.
Disdain,
what you're...
and he's kind of a badass. So bringing all of that to Earth, and it was fun. It was a fun ride. I enjoyed the first issue, and we see the return of an alien species that we haven't seen in a while towards the end of the issue.
Cool. My pick of the week this week is Batgirl number 6, written by Hope Larson with art by Raphael Albuquerque, who is always awesome. And this is sort of a bridge between the previous arc of Batgirl, where Babs was off walking the earth like Kane and Kung Fu all through Southeast Asia, and the next arc where she will be back home, presumably in Burnside, although it is a little bit up in the air at the end of the issue. And on the ride home, she happens to grab a flight with Poison Ivy, and crazy plant hijinks in the sky ensue. And it was a lot of fun. I love the dynamic between them because, they're superhero, supervillain, but they've also been on a team together in the Birds of Prey, and it's just super fun, awesome writing, great characterizations. Like I said, Albuquerque's art is super great, and yeah, it's manages to tell a lot of different levels of story at once, which is what every book should strive to do.
Shouldn't Poison Ivy be on a no-fly list someplace?
You would think.
I'm not exactly sure.
I don't know. Places keep hiring Dr. Pamela Isley.
Yeah,
so
they need to spread the word. Another DC book this week is in our must-reads Flash number 13, which is a standalone holiday issue and was so much fun. Focuses on Kid Flash getting the spotlight, protecting Central City while Barry Allen and Iris West get to go on a date. And I'm having problems today, folks. This Carrie Fisher thing hit me harder than I thought.
it was really torture.
You find out why Iris and Barry have, at least in this universe, have not really gotten together because they have their own things and they're focused on, Barry is distracted by being the Flash. Iris is a reporter. She's always looking to dig deeper and get to the heart of the matter. And there's a great conversation. The whole thing is a great conversation between Barry and Iris. But you also get to see Kid Flash kind of flexing his super muscles and doing the right thing in a situation here. Also, we get the return of, should I tell them? Did you read this? You read this, yeah. I guess I can tell them.
Oh, yes, okay. Sorry.
It looks like something big is coming down the road for the Flash because we get the return of Captain Cold towards the end of the issue. So you're definitely going to want to check out the Flash. Excellent from the very first issue, and as I said, issue 13 is a standalone, so it's a good point to jump in if you haven't gotten on board the Flash train yet.
Next up, a joint publication from, everybody, but DC and IDW primarily, is Love is Love. This is they're calling it a comic book to benefit a comic book anthology to benefit the survivors of the Orlando Pulse shooting. It is not a comic book. That is a graphic novel.
Yes.
It's $9.99, and it's so many pages. And it is exceptionally awesome. Basically, everyone who works in comics did something in here. And a lot of them are 1 or 2 page things, which seems like it would be trivial, but actually makes it better. Because when you take A-list talent, artists and writers, and ask them to fill a space that small and say something, you kind of get a very concentrated. They bring their A game, and some of these 1-page comics I would put among the best 1-page things I've ever seen. And you get a lot of DC characters and some other creator-owned characters. There's a Cassie Hack splash page from Tim Seeley. But just a quick rundown of some of the people you may have heard of. Phil Jimenez, Steve Orlando, Gail Simone, Paul Dini, Morgan Spurlock. How did Morgan Spurlock get on that list?
Assume he's writing and not drawing.
Yeah. Joe Kelly, Jonathan Hickman, Brian Michael Bendis, Marguerite Bennett, Matt Wagner, Jason Aaron, Jason Latour, James Asmus, Mark Millar, or Miller, depending on how you want to pronounce that, Paul Jenkins, Philip Tan, G. Willow Wilson, Jim Lee. And Jim Lee is illustrating a quote from the Harry Potter verse by J.K. Rowling from Dumbledore, which is quite good.
Jim Lee drawing Harry Potter characters, folks.
I mean, what more do you want out of life? Judd Winnick, Mike Carey, P.K. Russell, Brad Meltzer, Patton Oswalt. I must have missed the Patton Oswalt one. Carla Speed McNeil, and it says many more, and I skipped a bunch of names I didn't recognize or didn't think you'd recognize. So just everybody in the comics industry is coming together to do a positive message book, and it's great. And the proceeds go to charity.
So here is what I think is going to be the problem, at least locally. I don't think we have enough. I think that we didn't have a lot of information when we had to order this. I don't even think we had a complete list of creators that were involved. We didn't know that Jim Lee was doing a Harry Potter illustration in this book. We didn't know a lot of the content, so we didn't order really heavy. And now I wish we should have, because I am fairly confident that at least we here at Alter Ego will sell out of this today, the day that it goes on the stands. So request it at your comic shop. They've already done a second printing. In fact, they may have filled ours with second printings. I haven't checked yet. I'm hearing from other comic stores that they receive second printings rather than first printings because...
This is a second printing, yeah.
So we never even got... I don't know who got a first printing, probably the IDW store, but... So I imagine they'll keep printing this as long as there's demand. So request it at your local shop. Request it from us. We'll try and get more. And again, goes towards a great cause. And that's the great thing about the comic book industry. This reminds me of the 9/11 issues that came out, the anthology issues, on a much larger scale. But the great thing about the comic industry is they're very welcoming of everybody. That's one of the great things about being a comic book fan, is that tolerance is kind of ingrained in most of us, I would think. So I think we're going to sell out today. I'm sure shops all over the place are going to sell out, but let your store owner know that you'd like a copy, and at least we will do our best to get you one. Speaking of Star Wars, here we go. Star Wars number 26 is a variation on what's been going on with Obi-Wan's journals, in that this is not a single issue story. This is a multiple issue arc called Yoda's Secret War.
And it's also interesting in that it has a framing story.
Yes.
More than the other ones have.
So the framing story is taking place where Star Wars has left off with issue number 25. The Scar Squadron, C-3PO has been captured, and...
Interrogating C-3PO
Yes.
is maybe my favorite thing that happens.
It is awesome. And some great stuff. Great stuff happens in the framing sequence, and then you get to the Yoda story, and it is all kinds of fun. So this is artwork by Salvador Larroca, who did the art on Darth Vader and Dr. Aphra, I think. Or is that Pacheco? No, I think it's Larroca.
I don't know.
Just super, super cool, and it's the first part of many. I think it's at least 3. It may be longer than that.
I feel like it's probably a 5 or 6.
So, and you've got, I believe, a Stuart Immonen drawn cover of Luke, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. This is a work of art, folks. You definitely want to pick up Star Wars 26.
Have they been doing the T-shirts of those?
I
know
that
a lot of the Marvel ones, they're doing one-off T-shirts, and I would buy that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Last up for me this week, our nation-long nightmare is over. Civil War II, number 8, is on the stands. Written by Brian Bendis, art by David Marquez. In case you didn't pick it up from the other things we talked about, you want to read this first this week if you're reading anything Marvel. Rocket, She-Hulk, Infamous Iron Man, Spider-Man, they all take place after the end of this book, and... You want to read this first.
And most of the Marvel books of the last 60 days take place after the end of Civil War.
But, She-Hulk especially, it does speak to her emotional state a little bit because, you didn't even mention that James Rhodes died while she was in the coma.
Oh, no,
she didn't know. She woke up and found out, a bunch of people are dead. Everyone's fighting each other. But this is a beautiful book. We get a lot of very cool things that I did not expect. They pay off some of the resolution to, what's his name? Achilles, not Achilles. Some Greek name. Ulysses. To Ulysses' power and story, which is sort of the driving force behind the whole arc, in a way that I did not expect, like I said. And it was a very satisfying resolution for me, even having waited for it this long.
All right, now we're into the books that continue to be great. Frostbite by Joshua Williamson and Sean Jason Alexander. Issue number 4. I don't know how many issues this is, whether it's 6 or 8 or however many. It is a miniseries, and it is awesome. Joshua Williamson writing Flash, of course, as well as Birthright and Nailbiter. This is his creator-owned book from Vertigo, which has a heavy Firefly influence on it, but takes place in a frozen wasteland of the United States. I'm so glad I keep reading that.
Bendis did Civil War II. He also did Infamous Iron Man with Alex Maleev, and Spider-Man, formerly Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, with Bendis and Pacelli. And with Pacelli. He didn't write it with himself. And they're all awesome. Just great.
Detective Comics 947. Detective continues to be the crown jewel of DC Rebirth as far as I'm concerned. Written by James Tynion IV, artwork by Alvaro Martinez. This is the wrap-up to the Victim Syndicate storyline. And some stuff happens that you may not expect. This is such a great book.
7 to Eternity, number 4. Rick Remender, Jerome Pena. Beautiful, brilliant, awesome.
Justice League vs. Suicide Squad number 2 of 6, also written by Joshua Williamson. This time we get artwork by Tony Daniel. It picks up right where the previous issue left off. This is a weekly series, except when it's not. I don't know if we have an issue next week, but there'll be a different artist on every issue. We find out what happens when the Justice League basically captures the Suicide Squad. Do their heads go boom? What happens? And the ending is a twist. So
Tony Daniel and I are going to have some words about the things he's drawn. If you have a boomerang shaped like this and break it in half, both halves don't get to have an L shape on them, because then your boomerang would be U-shaped, Tony. It's a U-shaped boomerang.
And now a note from Sheldon Cooper.
It's okay. Can we talk about Killer Croc biting Aquaman? He's like, your skin's like rock, except when in the image of biting, there's blood everywhere. Like, if your skin's like rock, why did you just spray blood everywhere? I don't understand.
Rocks bleed.
Yeah, apparently. They look like good strong
You know, you can't get blood from a stone? Oh, I guess you can get blood from a rock hard arm.
Steve Rogers, Captain America number 8. Nick Spencer, Jesus Saez continues to be amazing. Again, another Marvel book dealing with fallout from Civil War II, and the wheels within wheels of Steve and Hydra keep getting deeper. And then 2, 3 things you need to know this week. Harley's Black Book number 5. What? They're still publishing that? Apparently they are. It was bi-monthly, and then it's been a little more than bi-monthly, I think. But this issue is a sort of homage or parody, maybe, of the classic Superman versus Muhammad Ali fight, except it's Harley versus Muhammad Ali. And who do you get to pencil that?
Harley versus Superman?
Yeah, it's Harley versus Superman. And who do you get to pencil that but Neil Adams, the original penciler on the story, right?
Yep.
And if you like Neil Adams, that's where he is this week. Mariko Tamaki and Joelle Jones have Supergirl being Super number 1. It's the first part of a mini-series, kind of perfect bound, oversized. And it's not really a Supergirl origin story. I don't even really know how it fits in any continuity. It's almost like the show continuity a little bit, except nobody's drawn like the people in the show and the backstory's different. Her name's the same as the show, and she's growing up on Earth rather than on Krypton like she did in the actual current continuity. But it's really actually great. Coming-of-age story with superpowers. And last out, not out this week, that's what we need you to know. Saga 41 was supposed to release this week. Image was not happy with the way this cover turned out, so they are pulping the run. So every comic shop is not supposed to sell them. We will have second printings, I believe it's, or reprintings, because the first ones are being destroyed. Yeah. Next week or the week following? It's very soon, so bide your time.
If
It'll
you're
be
local,
okay. Saga
don't
is
buy
coming.
it someplace else because you shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Stores were supposed to destroy the copies that we got in this week because you need a lighter cover. The cover's a little too dark, according to...
Well, if you see them side by side, there's a
big
huge difference in the detail. But
yeah. Okay, well, man, we raced through that. You probably can't see, but there are just mountains of comics strewn across the table here. Lots of great stuff to choose from. Come spend some of your Christmas cash at Alter Ego Comics or your local comic shop. They deserve your love. If you want to continue the conversation with us, head on over to our private Facebook group, Comics Are Awesome. We'll include a link in the show notes. And hit us up with any questions. We're happy to answer those to the best of our ability. If you like this week's episode, give us a thumbs up and tell 3 friends about us. That's my Christmas wish, my New Year's wish. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you're aware every time we upload a new video. This is it before the end of the year, so we want to wish you a Happy New Year. Thank you for being a watcher of Alter Ego Comics TV in 2016. And do you have anything you want to add?
I don't.
He rarely does, folks.
It's true.
It is true. We appreciate you. We appreciate you watching and participating in discussions about comics that are awesome. And to our locals, we absolutely appreciate you shopping with us. We hope to see you soon, and we hope to talk to the rest of you very soon.